here and beyond to harden ourselves from these types of attacks?
And I think that that's where I think the end users, as Tony was saying, is really our last and strongest line of defense is a well-trained end user population. And I think we have a really good one here in the city. And I think that I liken it to you putting a state-of-the-art security system in at your house and then leaving the back door open when you left. And the back doors are our end users who, because if you really think of, I think people think of hackers, people think of folks who are sitting there, running lines of code and, 4,000 monitors all around them in their basements or something. But a lot of hackers are actually looking for much lower hanging fruit to go and take on head-to-head modern defense capabilities of most enterprises. A lot of work. They'll do it for someone like the FBI, or they really want to get in and get some information, they might give it a try. But for, kind of if you look at most of the hack, look at Wichita, which is the most recent major hack, but that they had, the path in there looks as though it was someone clicking on a malicious link. Looks as though it was an end user who got sent something that they thought was something that they should click on, and they clicked on it, and then it said, "Do you want to download this?" And they said, "Yeah, sure, why not? Let's see what it is." And then
weakest link
went from there. So yeah, I mean,
So you're saying keep up with our continuing.
keep up with your trainings, and I think that and again, I think that's an area too where we've seen really good support from the administration and pushing this as an important important piece for all of our employees.
and the new modules we've been receiving are very well crafted and easy to digest.
A much higher completion rate, and people seem a lot less annoyed with them. So.
They've also gotten easier because they were a little bit craftier with their answers, and it was the answers that were correct that were incorrect. Hey, this thing. My next question is, does Vicky know how to reboot everything onto this page? Next time I hit the.
It's called the Bryant's.
Oh, Brian.
Vicky lives in East Boston. So.
Oh, yeah, okay, so that's a Brian, is Brian well trained in that?
Yeah. I just actually,
Which Brian?
my last act was I had him pull everything out and put it all back in, so.
Which Brian?
Both of them.
Oh,
Both of them know how to do it now.
Oh, good.
Good.
I did put a
Redundancy is
safety
good.
block on it.
Yeah, I did put a save. I put the kid cap on the switch there.
Ryan, where do the mice hang out?
To the state.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
So I suppose we can let Ryan go. Obviously, the sense of the meeting is we don't want to. So therefore, I don't have to make a motion. We can just postpone it for some time.
Hopefully we'll see you around town.
I'll still be living here.
See you at the GAF thing on Saturday.
So Budget and Finance would recommend that the City Council approve a fiscal year 2025 appropriation for management information systems as follows. Personal services, $431,020. Ordinary maintenance, $772,652. And a capital outlay of $32,500 for a total departmental management information systems budget of $1,236,172. I so move.
Second.
Any further regrets, any questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you all.
All right,
Thank you, Jill.
are we taking those other two?
You want to get back, Kenny? Do you have enough time?
I was thinking maybe we can do one.
Sure.
And see how it goes. If it takes too
All
long,
depends.
then we'll,
So what would you like to start with?
How far back is the revolving?
you want to do the revolving fund?
It's not on our,
Big right.
Thanks, Ryan.
He said.
So these aren't actually in the book. So if we're doing revolving funds, they're actually not in the book. It's just an annual authorization
Yep.
of them. They're already part of the code of ordinance. So revolving funds, they all have a specific activity. So all we're doing is we're taking in funds and spending those funds. That's
They're in the beginning, aren't they?
no, actually revolving funds, they've never been part of this budget document. It's just an annual authorization. They're in the motions template. So we have school and we have city revolving funds. So the first set of revolving funds are for the school. So we have the summer school program, transportation, ROTC, preschool, professional development, non-resident student tuition, West Parish school, before school program. And then those various spending limits. So what that means is just, that is the cap each year of what they can spend for these various activities. So all you're doing is, they're already part of our code of ordinance. If you remember, I want to say it was part of the Modernization Act. Municipal Modernization Act, maybe what was it, about 5 years ago, that they changed that. So it's in our code of ordinance. Each year, we're just voting on the spending limit.
Okay.
But these are the various activities. We've done this, we do this every year.
Yeah.
This is nothing new.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is stipulated by our code of ordinances to do this, is that what you're saying?
No, this is Master General Law. This
This
is
is
chapter
Master General Law.
44, these are E and a half.
Okay.
What page are we on in our packet?
So page 13.
And revolving accounts can be a little confusing because they're not real money. It's.
In and
Yeah,
out.
it's just a cap.
It allows like fees to be brought in.
Correct.
And deposited here, but you can only do $10,000 for the summer school program. You can only bring in $10,000 worth of fees.
So once this is voted by the city council, then what we do is we take those votes, we create a budget, and that's what they have. They have that spending limit. They can't go over that amount. And if they want to go over that amount, they need to go over that amount. They have to come back to the city council and request.
And we've done
approval.
that.
Yeah, we've done it before. I know we've done it before with preschool.
Yeah.
I know preschool, especially when they moved up
When they
to
moved,
Blackburn.
Their enrollment really
Exactly.
went way up.
It increased, that we had to increase, you know, I want to say, I thought maybe at one point it was like 75,000, it went up to 100 and then 125, 150. And it's been increasing because of enrollment.
So on preschool, we have a spending limit of $180,000 because we take in about that much.
We don't take in about that much, but there is a possibility that they could take up that much. So we just, you know, that's something that the school, they like to have the flexibility. So in case there is, you know, in case they do go up to 180, they want to be able to expend the 180. I'm not saying that they're going to spend 180. So they only really spend by the available funds. So it's only based off what they collect. So there's two ways to look at it. This is just saying they can't spend more than 180,000 in a year. However, they can only spend monies that they take in. So if they only take in, let's say 100, 125,000, they can only spend 100 to 125,000. Because if they spend more than that, then they're in a deficit.
So there's no subsidy, for lack of a better word, of city/school money going to these programs.
They're self-funding.
Yeah, there's a fee. So it's
No, I
dollar, I don't know if you've heard me say this before, dollar in, dollar out. So they take in $1, they spend $1. So this is not meant to, that's just, you know, there's no free cash, there's no retained earnings. They're not trying to build up reserves. They're not really running a business. All this is just, it's an activity. There's a fee. There's a cost of doing, you know, of providing that, you know, activity or service. So what they're doing is they're taking in that dollar so that they can provide, whether it's transportation or the ROTC program, preschool, or these various type of activities. So they're just taking money in and then spending it out. But however so all you're allowing them to do is to spend up to that amount. So they could take in only $100,000, let's just say, for the preschool program, but they can only spend $100,000. They can't just go out and spend $180,000. They can't spend money that they don't have.
There are
So it's a
other
cap.
costs associated with preschool though, that
Yes,
aren't
yeah,
covered
Yes,
obviously in that number.
there is.
The whole
Yeah.
operation is not running on 100.
No,
No,
it's
no.
not. No,
Right.
it's in the regular school budget.
These are the,
Yeah.
So
This
there
is
a
just a
subsidy
fee.
of
This is
some
a
sort.
tuition that's being paid.
Okay, so they're not self-sustaining.
No.
Not the school, I don't know about not the preschool, I don't know enough about each one of these programs.
do you want me to read through them?
I thought I did, but
Yeah.
I can again. So summer school program, transportation, ROTC, preschool, professional development, non-resident student tuition, and West Parish before school program. So those are the various programs, then the spending limit you see to the right of that. So summer school program, $10,000, transportation, 200,000, ROTC, 125,000, preschool, 180,000, professional development, 30,000, non-resident student tuition, 130,000, West Parish before school program, 35,000.
So Kenny, can we, through the chair, what is the West Parish before school program? Is that a program that offers before school starts for kids?
Correct.
Okay, like if they're coming for breakfast or other things like that, is that what it?
Yes, this
Okay.
is newer. I want to say once the school was, renovated, when it was, built. That's when they brought this program in. So this is, I would say this is actually people, especially where it is. It's the newest program out of that subset.
Out of that subset, and how many students benefit from this program? Do we know?
I don't
Probably
know.
superintendent question.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right.
All I do is just I monitor the money going in and going out.
No, I
That's
know
all
that,
care
no,
about. If
yes.
they don't bring in enough money, I don't ask too many questions. I just say, okay, you
Yeah.
spent X amount, this is how much you have available. And I let them figure it out.
Yeah.
As far as what they need to do to administer it. But
Okay.
all I'm looking at is, okay, how much have you brought in? How much have you spent? Are you in a deficit? How are you going to solve this? Those are the questions that I ask.
Okay,
So I would move to recommend that the city council continue continue acceptance of statute MGL, chapter 44, 53E and 1/2, school department revolving funds for fiscal year 2025. As specified, can you summarize them? And I so move.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And then the second page begins on this one and goes on to the second one, which is B. To recommend the city council authorizes the city to establish revolving funds for certain city departments under Mass General Law 4453A and 1/2 for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024, with specific receipts credited to each fund, the purposes for which each fund may be spent, and the maximum amount that may be spent from each fund the first fiscal year as specified. And those are building use, $60,000, city hall use, $5,000, court repairs, $2,885, septic loan, Board of Health, $15,000, vaccine, Board of Health, $175,000, fire training, $5,000, radio frequency review study, $10,000, solid waste recycling, $10,000, city clerk.
Preservation of permanent.
Preservation of permanent records, thank you, Kenny, is
Sorry.
$15,000.
Bless you.
Vacant building account, $80,000, Lanes Cove Fish Shack, Val, there you are. $3,500, various fire trainings, $15,000, Newell Stadium maintenance, $20,000, bless you. Stage Fort Park maintenance, $10,000. Police student officer training and equipment, $35,000, and fire decontamination drill training, thank you, $5,000, and I so move.
Second.
Any further discussion on any of these?
So if you heard earlier, the police chief mentioned about the police student officer training equipment. If you remember, he mentioned that employees were paying to go to the academy for the training. So this is the method they were using. So police officer would be paying for their academy, for their training. So dollar in and then dollar out going to the academy.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point of the revolving fund, dollar in, dollar out. So that's just as an example, same thing with like the vaccine, Board of Health. That's one that's for the flu, vaccine. They've talked about maybe a COVID. So that was the reason why it's increased dramatically. I know at one point it was always around 95,000. But I know they're anticipating that perhaps there may be a COVID-19 and a flu combination vaccine. So they've requested to increase that amount over the years, just for anticipation that there may be more activity.
So this doesn't include all revolving funds though.
These are the only the revolving funds that you're voting. Those are the ones that by law that you need to vote. So there are some revolving funds by statute, like I know more on the school side, that you do not need a revolving fund. And there are some that you heard today earlier. 53G as an example for third party review. related to housing. So there are some that do not require, or there's actually DOR, they put out a matrix of which ones need to be voted, which ones don't. I've gone through that several times over the years. But we're in compliance with the law, and that's what I'm trying to do, trying to be in compliance with the law. I wish, and if you would like to change this, I'm all, be more than happy for another municipal modernization act to, make changes to this if you would like, but all we're doing is following the law.
Municipal modernization, it's not something we would do. We would,
No, that's something that the legislature, that's something that the governor, I think it was Governor Baker had taken.
we have
Another one.
ordinance,
Healing.
Oh, good.
we have an ordinance
Move.
on, beach revenue, actually on the books as the revolving fund, but it's not funded, it's not allocated.
I'm sorry.
There's an ordinance, a city ordinance that says the beach revenue is supposed to be a revolving fund. We don't do it.
No, it's general fund revenue.
I know it is.
It's always been, yeah.
but we have an ordinance that says otherwise, so it's not for today, I guess. I don't know, just, I want to throw that back to you, that maybe we get back, we can talk about that later. Why we have it on the books, we don't have a revolving fund for it. I can understand why there's a lot of money that goes to other places, but that's not something we need to deal with today, right?
No, so the ones that we have here in front of you, this is what's been voted by the city council in the past, as I said, as part of the code of ordinance. And all you're doing is you're not establishing them. If we wanted to, just so you know, and I know the school's mentioned to me a few times that they'd like to create a new revolving fund, and I've reminded them that we would need a public hearing. And that would add in advertising, so that would increase our advertising costs. So that would be a public process that we would have to create a new revolving fund and add to our code of ordinance.
What I meant on the beach one, that is already been voted by the council, it's in our code of ordinances as having a beach revolving fund.
But it's apparently not funded, it's not
Right.
currently in service.
So
No,
that was-
I mean, that must be well before my time. I don't recall. As far as I know, it's always been general fund.
So it is, it
revenue.
is general fund, but we have an ordinance for beach revolving account.
But it's not in our code of ordinance as part of the Modernization Act. We needed also to be part of our code of ordinance as far as the purpose, so what, all you're doing today, you're not establishing it. All you're doing is voting on the spending limit. That's all we're doing today. You're not establishing, you've already done that. You did that years ago.
And the motion's been made and seconded, I believe.
And I believe, Councilmember, you were on the committee when we did
Yep.
have that vote.
Is there any further discussion about these revolving funds? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And then that motion passes unanimously, 3 in favor, 0 opposed. The last one is the fiscal year 2025 food
Yeah.
service revolving fund.
Yep.
And the motion is to recommend the city council appropriate $2 million for the fiscal year 2025 operating costs of the Gloucester School Food Service Program and $2 million for the estimated receipts from fees charged the users of the services provided by this Gloucester Food Service Program in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 4453E, and I so move. Discussion.
Second. So are we getting the money from the state,
Yeah, so it's
No longer.
various, it's state, fed.
Yeah.
And then they also.
But the universal-
There's like, yeah,
The
universal
meal
breakfast.
program is,
Yeah.
so this is no longer the POS system or, that we had.
Meal Magic, I believe.
Yeah, Magic that had many unintended consequences that drove us constantly in deficit.
Yeah.
So this 2 million is what we can take in from those outside agencies. It's no longer
Correct.
coming from Gloucester residents other than in April 15th. It's coming from us, but other than that, it's not coming out of our tax base.
No.
Or out of the fees, user fees.
Yeah.
And,
So it gives them a little bit more flexibility with this model, because I know at the beginning of the year, sometimes they're very close. There's not a lot of reserves, there's not a lot of funds available in that account. So especially at the beginning of the school year, it gives them some flexibility so that they can order, so they can open up purchase orders. And just so I brought this to the school and the school committee years ago, because they did have problems at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
They just couldn't open up purchase orders, they couldn't get going, because I'd say, well, you don't have any funds available. So I said to them, well, maybe if we establish this revolving fund, this way here, we can open up the purchase orders and get you going, but we will still monitor as we as we go along. So I mean, I've seen a large improvement, and I'm sure you have as well, large improvements in the school food service over the years.
Oh, Martha Joe came.
Yeah, exactly. Martha Joe, she corrected a lot of the issues. She did a great job.
My only question on this, if I may, Chairman, is for estimated receipts from fees charged to users, if we are not charging user fees for food service, does that language need to be changed to account for the fact that it's free lunch?
They do collect some fees, like I know, like I thought they had some catering that they do. I thought also the teachers, they also pay, because we do receive local meals tax as well. So it's a mix of revenues that come in. It's not a large amount, but there's different revenues that do come in.
I mean, it's not all wrong, but you said and 2 million for estimated receipts from fees charged to users.
Yeah, when I mean estimated receipts, I'm talking about all revenue. When we talk about estimated receipts, we're not just talking about, just fees that we collect. It's all revenues. It could be federal, it could be state. And again, the only purpose of this is just to get them going especially at the beginning of the fiscal year, where they don't have there's not a lot of funds available, especially years ago, they had an issue at the beginning of the year. I know that they had a lot of difficulty opening up purchase orders. So they came to me and they said, well, how can we work together so that we can, establish purchase orders at the beginning of the fiscal year? And I said, well, if we establish or we vote on this fund, then we're able to do that. This was the school food service was a big issue like 15 years ago. I know it was brought up in my interview quite a bit.
So
It was a big issue.
I hear you saying when I'm
Oh,
reading
for a
it
little bit
says.
of money.
And 2
Yes,
million-
I know. That and community preservation, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
those two items were was a high,
Sweet.
That was the council at the time.
Yes.
I'm just confused. I hear what you're saying. What I'm reading is and 2 million for estimated receipts from fees charged to users of the services provided with loss of food service program. So it seems like it's almost dated language since a lot of it is covered now by the state. So.
Well, but it may not be. It's a year-to-year thing.
Right.
They vote that in the budget.
So we really don't estimate $2 million coming in from user fees for food service this year.
Well, the thing is, some of them are paid by, they could be paid by the users, and some of it's reimbursed by the feds and by the state.
After the
And
fact.
would
That's a
that,
fact.
and would that go into this account?
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
Do we need that language then to say that?
no,
Well,
no.
oh,
You don't-
got it.
I trust you. I don't understand it. So. But me needing to understand it isn't.
Again, the only intent of this is really for them to get going at the beginning of the fiscal year. I mean,
It's a placeholder.
it's a placeholder. If maybe we don't, I mean, like again, this was my reaction to a problem from 15 years ago. So if, I know there's been some concern over it, if we feel that school food service is not a concern, I've been keeping an eye on it. I do have some concerns this fiscal year on it, so I've been
Food service.
on food service, they are running in the red. So I don't really like to take things away where it's been working. And I'd like to, to continue. I mean, if you'd like to change the language, we can
No,
change
I
the
just, it
language.
just doesn't make sense if school, lunch and breakfast is paid for universally by the state. Why would have language about charging fees to pay $2 million service, but.
I mean, if you just like to say for estimated receipts and then remove from fees charged to users, I'm fine with that. I mean, all I'm doing, I'm just saying, just estimated receipts, just what's coming in. So if you'd like to strike from fees charged to users.
I mean,
So
it might be
estimated receipts.
inconsequential, but I just. I want to be precise, we're not expecting $2 million in fees from users, so.
So you can say estimated receipts for the services provided. I'm fine with that.
Can we make that amendment? We haven't voted on this yet.
Sorry, and I'm just
Yeah.
trying to help move this along.
Yeah, make the amendment. I'll second it.
Thank you. I mean,
Fine.
Now it's like you're crazy.
So
All
then-
those in favor of the amendment as
Yeah.
okay,
clarifying language.
Yeah.
Updating it appropriately. Thank you,
Aye.
Councilor Worley. Aye.
I don't know, if it was seconded, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
second it.
okay, thank you. Yes.
All those in favor? Aye.
The main motion
And
as amended? Aye.
so you changed the language has been adjusted and the main motion.
Motion to adjourn, Kenny's gotta run.
I gotta run.
Just
Actually, my son is gonna be the starting pitcher.
Be careful
I gotta get
running.
him warmed up.
A motion to adjourn, the next time that this committee will meet is next Wednesday.
Did we vote on it?
You can always pitch.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good, because I'm like, I know so many of them.
Yes,
are
yeah,
friends.
unanimous.
He didn't pitch on, he was going to pitch on
Second.
Monday,
Oh, we
but I
managed-
didn't.
we had the
pitch him.
vote.
We had the
So I said that's fine,
Second.
but I can only pitch
Okay.
I can only pitch 50 because of the-
Yeah.
So if they're on pitch count, they're
Close,
strict about
I
it.
know, one of my son's
Committee of
high
the
school,
whole,
by the time
too.
they get to high school, they're.
You have to close the committee of the whole.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And he enjoys it.
Hold on.
No one else is on.
Motion to close the committee of the whole.
Aye.
Motion to close the committee of the whole. Aye. Okay. You seconded it, I seconded it, yeah.
Now I look at.
Well,
I'm
you
like,
guys can vote.
You guys can vote on it,
Yeah.
but I
take
just
this
said
with
aye
you, let
to
me
it.
Yes,
just go
ma'am.
back to this.
Yeah.
Actually, we can do it on.
Okay.